Thank you very much, everyone, for your patience in this last couple of minutes. Thanks very much for being today with us. My name is Andres Gutierrez. I'm a senior consultant and head of the Spanish office at Henley & Partners. This webinar is part of Henley & Partners webinar series for the week, where we're going to be looking at the different top programs that offer citizenship and residence, like in this case, about in Spain, through the Spanish residence by investment regulations. So let me share with you my screen so we can start this presentation. Okay, thanks very much for your patience, and thanks very much for being with us today. As we discussed before, we're going to be speaking today about the Spanish Residence by Investment Program, and the agenda for today is going to be mostly about an introduction to Spain, even though you may be already familiar with the country, presentation of the program, some investment options, and at the end, some Q&A. As a matter of fact, if at any point in time you have a question that arises during the presentation, please have your question raised in the Q&A section, and I will cover it at the end of the presentation. Thank you very much for your help on that. So a little bit of an introduction to the country. Where is Spain? Spain, it is the biggest country in the Spanish Peninsula, officially known as the Kingdom of Spain, with a population of over 50 or around 50 million people. The capital city is Madrid, in the center of the country, very well connected, not only internationally, but also locally with trains and planes. And official language, it is Euro, and part of many different associations, like, of course, the Schengen area, the European Union, and the United Nations. In terms of economy, Spain is a great country to invest in, one of the world's largest economies, and Europe's fourth largest. And in terms of investment, and according to our own 2022 Henley Real Estate Index, Spain is the second best country to invest in real estate. The Henley Real Estate Index measures different criteria like reputation, saleability, quality of life, amongst others. Also, it has one of the best healthcare systems in the world, according to the World Health Organization. Getting here to Spain, it is relatively straightforward, both to Madrid and to Barcelona. International flights from Southeast Asia between 12 and 14 hours. The Americas, New York, Miami, around 8 to 6 hours. LATAM between 10 to 12 or 13 hours. And then Africa, basically between 5 and 7 hours, the MENA region. So it is a great place to invest, have as a lifestyle choice, as a second home, or even to retire. But at the end of the day, some questions and some main topics about the Spanish residence by investment programs, and at the end of the day, some overview and the main advantages of the Spanish regulations. At the end of the day, for those which are nationals of origins from Ibero-American countries, or the Philippines or Equatorial Guinea, this is very good news from you, because after 2 years of effective residence in the country, you can be applying for a Spanish citizenship. Otherwise, you will have to wait a little bit more, basically 10 years. So it is very, very important, because we are seeing applicants which are applying for a Spanish residence through an investment, staying in Spain for a couple of years, and applying for a Spanish citizenship. So that is a key thing, a key advantages for these nationals from these countries. Also, the residence permit or residence permit holders are allowed not only to live in Spain, but also to work in Spain, and this is anywhere in the country, basically. This is in the Balearic Islands, in the Canary Islands, or of course in the Spanish Peninsula, whilst having Schengen access to the rest of Schengen countries. The process for the Spanish residence by investment is very smooth and very straightforward. Everything is digital and remote at a government process where applications normally are processed in maximum 20 working days, and we normally have approvals or decisions in between 8 to 10 days, sometimes at the most. Those residence permits that allow applicants to live and work in the country, they are issued first for 3 years and then renewed every 5 years. Of course, as long as the investment and conditions in Spain are still met and there is no minimum stay in the country. So at the end of the day, who can be applying for this program? Of course, the main applicant and the dependents. The dependents, they have a broad definition. So in terms of the spouse, it is also understood as civil partner or the same gender spouse, dependent children of any age, as long as they are financially dependent on the main applicant and provided certain criteria. So here we need to look at case-by-case basis. But generally speaking, yes, they are allowed to apply as long as they are unmarried and they are financially dependent on the main applicant. And of course, dependent parents of the age of 65 and above, fully dependent on the main applicant. These adult dependents or these dependents, they can be from the main applicant or from the spouse, biological or adopted children. And in terms of parents, they can be parents of the main applicant or parents of the spouse. So the investments that allow applicants to access these benefits in terms of healthcare, in terms of education, fantastic education here in Spain, both private and public, are 3 different options. The first option, it is the most common, which is real estate investments of minimum €500,000. These can be done after 2013 or basically at any time, once you're on board with us. It can be done in one or several different properties in commercial, residential, or land. Another option, which is also we are seeing it on the rise, it is the investment in the Spanish financial assets for €1 million. Here we're talking about listed share with Spanish funds or Spanish deposits in financial institutions. And then finally, something that it is on the law, but it is not very, very famous or successful, let's say, it is the €2 million investment in Spanish government bonds, which the applicant or the main applicant needs to be the sole owner for a period of at least 5 years. And before we enter in the investment strategies for our esteemed clients to make here in Spain, specifically on real estate, it is very interesting to look certain things, certain considerations in order to make a very healthy and very good and aligned strategy of real estate investment in the country. So at the end of the day, real estate investment, it is quite flexible. So it can be in one or more properties over €500,000. You already have a property that you bought in 2015 and it complies, we can apply. We can go and we can assist you, but perhaps that is not your case. Perhaps you want to make an investment here in the country. You say, where do I invest? Can be residential, can be commercial. The property, residential or commercial, can be rented out, can be for your personal use, can be combined, can be a large property that qualify perhaps you and your brother, or you or your sibling, because it is over €1 million, €500,000 each. But at the end of the day, which is the best strategy? What do we see that it is the most beneficial thing for our clients? And what we see is a very common trend that the clients normally they start investing in commercial property. And the main reason for this it is that commercial property against residential property has, generally speaking, much a lower property transfer tax. As an example, property transfer tax or stamp duty, as sometimes it is called, in Barcelona it is 10% for residential property. But if it is commercial property, it will be 2.5% and 1.5% in Madrid. So there is a huge saving in transfer tax, in cost of the real estate purchase. And this is something very important when applicants, they are abroad, they are very far away. They do not have the time or perhaps the willingness to come here to Spain to inspect the different properties, to see if they want to do something which is more lifestyle, a bigger investment. This way, they can access the Spanish jurisdiction through a real estate investment, and after time, they can invest in residential. It's not a problem. And of course, then these properties, they are fully managed, okay? And it is a performing asset. So this property will give a monthly income to that investor. And finally, apart from the fact that there is the possibility of doing this investment through an escrow account with a notary, these commercial properties, they have two options. One is the normal traditional investment in one property and collecting the rent through a property management company on a monthly basis, or with the property management pack included, contract a leaseback with a property management company valid for 10 years, where the rental of 10 years will be paid up front, in which case the yield will be lower, will be of 3%, and normally will be of 4 or 5%, however. So that depends on the type of client and the type of investment, if they want instant liquidity or they are happy to wait some time. Finally, basically, in terms of commercial properties, we're talking about different investment types. We're talking about sectors like catering or retail. We're talking about bars. We're talking about restaurants, sometimes hair salons, properties located in Barcelona or Madrid city centers. So those properties, they are going to be, and they are rented out very, very quick with a very good turnover. And the rentals, they are for 10 years. So it is very stable. And finally, at the end of the day, the properties, they are of a considerable size, between 60 to 100 square meters, but they are not huge. So the most important thing, as it happens with real estate, it is location, 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 Barcelona or Madrid city center. Basically, a good capital appreciation and good opportunities for renting the properties. But at the end of the day, what happens is that clients, they start investing in something like this because they want to get their investment, their residency in Spain for them and their families, to access education, healthcare, a great safe harbor as it is the Spain. But then at the end of the day, once they start traveling here, they see that they want to buy something else. They want to have something which is more lifestyle. And here, I'm going to show you some options, basically, but there are plenty more that we work with the real estate partners. This one, in these brokers or developers, in this case, basically, I would like to showcase some lifestyle properties of Antares, Barcelona. Antares is a building already finished and working since around 1 or 2 years in Barcelona, 20 minutes from the city center, 25 minutes from the airport. It is basically, as you can see, facing the sun, the sun and the sea. Has great views and has a great location. Has has the highest swimming pool in the whole Barcelona, where you can see the Sagrada Familia, you can see the sea. It is absolutely fantastic place. It has its own gym, cafe, bar, paddle courts, concierge, anything that any of our esteemed clients will want, and beautiful penthouses like this one, which are absolutely fantastic and a delight for a lifestyle. Other properties that can be showcased, which are much more traditional right now. This one, actually, it is in Barcelona city center. It is very close to the city in the Avenida Tibidabo, where there are quite a few embassies. It is great property. In this one, for example, price, it is on request. It is quite a very interesting property. Other ones which are more modern, for example, in Madrid, we have Los Jardines de Velázquez, which is building which has been refurbished, great property, has around 10 different apartments, 80 minutes from the city center, 25 minutes from the airport. Great property, and these properties are going to be sold very, very fast due to their location, great quality finish, and higher standards of living. If we want to travel down to the south, we have the south that is very well known by their golf, their tourism, and their lifestyle and villas. And here we have villas, for example, like this one, which have 500 square meters, a villa of over 1,000 square meters of to enjoy, basically. A very, very exclusive villa, and this is probably marketed over 14 million euros. And something which is, for example, in Estepona, smaller, but great quality living. This one, it is around 2.5 million. Of course, if we have clients that they are looking at these type of things, we have other clients that they are looking at lower thresholds, and one of our esteemed real estate trusted partners assists our clients on all their way through choosing the perfect property for their needs in Spain, anywhere in the country. But at the end of the day, what happens if you are not interested in making a real estate investment, either commercial or residential, and you would like to make a financial investment? This is possible as well. And one of the interesting things of the Spanish program is its flexibility when it comes to qualifying investments. This is not only for real estate, but this happens also for financial investments. Financial investments that qualify are, as we said before, government bonds investment of 2 million euros, which is mostly not done, or 1 million euros in financial investments, which can be done in a share portfolio, which is listed in the Spanish stock market, Spanish investment funds, or Spanish term deposit that are held here in Spanish financial institutions. And here, the investor can choose anything that meets this qualifying criteria. Just to give you an example, Spain has over 4,000 different listed funds. And here you can be as conservative as you want, as aggressive as you want. You can be as conservative as your banker in Goldman Sachs, Miami, or your financial advisor in Singapore wants to be, as long, of course, as you agree and that it is transmitted to the financial advisor here in Spain. There are some very important clarifications here that I want to make. And the first one is that the term deposit that is mentioned there and in the law, it is an effective investment of 1 million euros. So basically, we assist the clients on all the way through, from opening the bank account towards the end of the process. In that investment, that bank account that is opened, the 1 million euros is transferred, and then it is invested in fund, it is invested in a share portfolio, it is invested in a term deposit. A simple transfer to a checking account and having the money there without being invested, it does not qualify. So that is something very, very important. And the qualifying funds, they are the ones that have an ISIN number, which start with ES. Some financial institutions that we hold great relationships with here in Spain are not only local, but also private and international banks. Of course, Santander and CaixaBank as the leading financial institutions, but also Banca March, which is a leading private bank here in Spain, Bankinter, but as well Swiss private banks like Julius Baer, Lombard Odier, or Safra Saracen. We have great relationships with them there. And if you have a client which it is actually banking with Goldman Sachs anywhere in the world, we also have great relationships with them here. So anywhere it is your cup, anything that is your cup of tea, will be able to assist you with it here in the country. So that is about the qualifying investments. At the end of the day, how this investment fits with the process, with becoming a resident in Spain. And without wanting to go further much into detail, I would like to give you a very brief overview on the process setup for the Spanish residence by investment program. So once you have spoken with your client advisor in any of our 40 different offices, the client advisor will walk you through our onboarding process. And once you have been formally onboarded with Henley & Partners, you will be assigned with a relationship manager of our delivery office, which is Henley & Partners here in Spain, in Barcelona. One of my relationship managers will be in charge of assisting you during the whole process. And the first step will be to obtain a power of attorney, which will allow us to do all what we need to do here in the country. So from opening a bank account, obtain the foreign identifications number, which is called NIEM here in Spain, to assisting you when making the investment. And here, together with your client advisor, you will have decided, or will help you to decide, which is the best strategy depending on your personal circumstances and family circumstances, and will assist on making the investment. If you have chosen real estate, we will execute that title deed here at the notary. And then once the property is registered, or once the investment in financial assets it is done, and we have the certificate from the bank, we will submit the application. And here the process differs if the applicant it is doing the process fully remote from their own jurisdiction, or if it is coming to Spain. Process, as we said at the beginning, can be done fully remote, first passing through the Spanish consulate and obtaining a Spanish investor's visa, and then we apply digitally and remotely on behalf of the applicant to the Spanish government. Once we have the approval, we book an appointment with the Spanish police, and you will need to come to Spain to get your biometrics done and collect the residence card. When you go to the police station, the allocated relation manager will go with you to assist you with the police and anything that you would need, provided that the appointment is in Barcelona or in Madrid. The same thing to collect the residence card, something that needs to be done by the own applicant. So all this process, all in all, can take between 4 to 6 months, sometimes 8 months, depending on the ability of the applicant to collect the documents and the time that the applicant takes in choosing the real estate or financial investment, of course. The process, as we said at the beginning, it is very effective, very, very efficient. In front of the Spanish government, first, everything is digital, so you don't have to send documents over FedEx or DHL. Second, it is very, very efficient. Once we submit an application, the government, if the government has not make any communication to us, either by approving or requesting further information, in 20 days, we can request the automatic approval of the file due to administrative silence. However, and it is our experience that the government normally takes much less than that, and we have approvals normally in a couple of weeks. So once the application is approved, residency and working rights are granted, and we can submit the appointment, or we can request the appointment for the biometrics. So the process is very effective and very, very efficient from a government standpoint. So at the end of the day, once the application is submitted and once your residence cards are issued, what happens basically? The residence cards, as we said at the beginning, are issued for 3 years. Okay, so before the residence permits are over, these 3 years are over, we need to submit a renewal application in which we need to show proof that the applicants have maintained their investment in the country. So it is very important, therefore, that the applicants have abided by the terms and conditions of their residency. So basically, all the conditions that gave origin to this residency right, are maintained to request a renewal. Very importantly, the investment cannot be vacated. The investment, once the investment is done, the application is submitted and it is approved, the investment must be maintained. One cannot sell the property and buy another one in 2 years' time. Apart from being a hassle, that cannot be done. But of course, you can swap the investment for another qualified investment, basically. So if it is in the same category, like real estate, we need to inform the government. If it is a swap of category, we need to submit a new application. But that, it is completely fine and possible. Of course, health insurance, basically, they need to be maintained. Any renewals, they are going to be granted for 5 years. The first one is going to be 3 years, and the subsequent renewals granted residency rights and work rights for 5 years. So it's one of the top programs here in Europe due to its flexibility for the investment and due to its fast processing, coupled with the possibility for nationals of origin from Latin America, the Philippines, or Equatorial Guinea to apply for Spanish citizenship after 2 years of effective residency. So that is the end of my presentation. I thank you very much for this. And now I'm going to go for some questions and answers that, that have been raised here. So let's see. So Muhammad Nawaz, can I buy two properties in 2 different times? So I think that here you're mentioning that if you can buy one property now for 300,000 euros and in 1 year time, another for 300,000 euros, making an investment over 500,000 euros. You can do that, but of course, if there are any changes in the regulations, you need to abide by the new laws at that time. Right now, there are not going to be changes, but you have to think about that. My recommendation is that, provided that you are able to, you make the 500,000 euros investment in one go. Thank you very much for your question, Mohammed. Mr. Kurt, do all the dependents of a main applicant receive a residence permit with €1 500,000 investment in real estate? Yes. The 500,000 investment, or the 1 million financial asset investment, covers the main applicant and all dependents, no matter the amount of dependents. Can be main applicant, spouse, and 2 children, or can be main applicant, spouse, 4 children, and 2 parent dependents. As long as dependents qualify, 500,000 euros investment in real estate covers them. What happens if what happens if any adult children cease to be dependents after a residence permit? Very simple. Once the application is going to be renewed, once the residence card is going to be renewed, that dependent is no longer a dependent, so it won't be included as dependent, basically. If the applicant has a dependent of 22 years old, which is in full-time studies, and in 3 years' time, when he is 25, he is working in Spain or anywhere, and is not financially dependent on the main applicant, and is not in full-time studies, it ceases to be a dependent, and his residence card is not going to be renewed. Kurt, once the financial investments are bought, can you sell any of those to buy others? No, I mean, you can swap. So basically, you can start, in terms of financial investment, you can start with a term deposit for 24 months, then liquidate it, and then buy another financial investment. It is fine. That is not a problem. If that is what you are asking, please let me know if that is not the case. Are REITs shares an acceptable financial instrument? I mean, the REITs, Kurt, here they are called SICAVs or SOCIMIs, and yes, they're acceptable financial instrument because they are shares which are not listed, but it is possible to invest 1 million euros in the equivalent of a rate, which is a SOCIMI or a SICAV, and qualify for the Golden Visa. The process is slightly different. It takes a little more of time, but that is possible. What is effective residence? Effective residence means living in the country, living in Spain for, typically speaking, 183 days per year. Do I need to reside for getting? No, you don't need to reside to have your residence renewed. It is very important. That is very, very important, because you can have your residence permit issued for 3 years, come to Spain only once, so you need to come to Spain at least only once, but you do not need to reside. You do not need to be a tax resident or spend 1 week per year. No, I mean, you just, as long as you can only 1 day, you're fine. There is no residency requirements, and there is no language requirements to be granted with residency by investment in Spain. Is physical presence required to attain citizenship? Yes, it is. It requires effective residency. Effective residency is typically described as spending over 183 days. However, that is subject to personal considerations, to be honest with you. It is on a case-by-case basis. We can assist you on that as well. And Kurt, thank you very much for your questions. I think they were very, very good. If you need any questions, please feel free to go to our website, to send me an email to andres.gutierrez@henleyglobal.com. I'm going to list it now here. So if you have any further questions, feel free first to reach to your client advisor in your jurisdictions where you are based, to our local office in the country that you are based. Go to our website and download any fact sheet or send us an inquiry. So basically, the client advisor from your jurisdiction is going to reply. Alternatively, you can reach me on my email, my corporate email, which is listed on the webinar chart. So thank you very much, Mohammed, for your question. And we have one more, which is, I'm a Philippine national, so how much time do I need to spend in Spain to apply for citizenship? So as we mentioned before, Philippine nationals, once obtained residency by investment in Spain, can apply for Spanish citizenship after 2 years of effectively living in Spain. Now, the fact of effectively living in Spain, it is normally mentioned as living in the country for over 183 days. However, we can look into that depending on your particular circumstances. So my suggestion would be that if you're a Philippine national, so you're based in Manila or in Singapore, please contact our Singaporean or Philippines office, where we have a wonderful team there of client advisors and relation managers that will be able to assist you on that. And in any case, they are going to contact me and our relation managers here to assist you with your application. So I guess that the last question was very fruitful. Thank you very much, everyone, for your time. And if there's anything else that you would need, please let us know. Thank you for your time today. Bye-bye.